Be cute.
Good idea. Okay, here's a real talker, and I'm so curious how you all feel about this, so make sure you tweet us and you Facebook us at D the Broadcast. But the Texas Senate has okayed now the idea of drug testing welfare recipients. So the idea is if you are on drugs, you will not get welfare. And I, for one, completely agree with this. I think it's a fantastic thing to do to make sure that welfare is going to the neediest of people and families. I guess the backside of it is, what about the kids who are in a family? If the adult who's applying for welfare is on drugs and then they don't get it, they say they're going to bypass that and they'll make sure that a third party takes the funds and divvies them out to the children and the rest of the family.
Because they'll go right out and buy drugs.
Well, and you know, you hate to say that because it seems like such a stereotype, but there's truth to it.
I read something about, I don't know if it was in Kansas or what state it was, but they were saying that the most welfare withdrawals were from ATMs outside of strip clubs and outside of areas where they're commonly known to sell drugs. So I don't think it's a bad idea. I mean,
there's welfare ATMs?
Yeah, well, you have like a certain sort of ATM card that you can withdraw cash from.
Right.
And so they started tracking where all of it was coming from, and almost $40,000 of it was being taken out of ATMs in areas outside of strip clubs.
I love that there's ATMs outside strip clubs.
Naturally, you guys
of course there are.
You're making it rain with all those dollar bills, y'all. No, but you know what's funny? I actually heard on the radio this morning on Kiss FM, they were talking about this, that Lil Wayne is now petitioning, I guess he's partnering with the president to make it where if people have been arrested and put in jail or put in prison for the possession of drugs, that they shouldn't be put in prison or jail. They should be put in rehab instead. That those people who have drug problems, they shouldn't necessarily be thrown in the slammer. They should be thrown into rehab instead, which I think is actually kind of a good idea.
And we know how rehab works for addicts.
Especially like Lindsay Lohan.
Well, it just seems like that would be a slap on the wrist, though, saying, oh, well, your offense, you're going to rehab. No way. I say punish them.
I say, I'm with you, Hillary. I say, you know, you do the crime, you do the time. I don't care if you're on drugs and what your reason is. Everyone's got a reason for being stupid. If your reason is that you're on drugs, I don't care.
Yep.
Go to prison.
So do you think this wouldn't apply to people who are smoking pot and all that? You don't think
if pot is illegal in the state that you live in, then that should.
Do you think they'll legalize it
here? I don't think so.
I don't either. Do you think they will?
I'm not really into pot, so I don't really care. I'm not really into drugs. I'm not into any drugs, but like, I was gonna say, wow, isn't it? It's kind of weird. Like, well, I am. So let me tell you, do some lines all day long. No,
yeah, like I'm really into pot here.
Yeah,
Susie, you're high most of the time.
Pot's more like a lazy person's drug to me. You know, like it's like mellows you out. I don't know. I mean, some people probably.
You probably heard that. Since you're not into it, you wouldn't know it mellows you out.
No, but everyone I know that does pot, they're kind of like, you know, just real chill. And
but I don't want to be driving on the road with those people. That's the thing. If they legalize it here, I don't want to be on the highway. I don't want to be on 635 with those people.
But how about being on the road with the alcoholics?
Or
on
people,
635.
I mean, you know, in Dallas, I mean, a lot of people, and I can say this just being somebody that goes out on the weekends and you know, go out with my girlfriends. A lot of people do cocaine in Dallas, especially like uptown. I mean, it's kind of a it's kind of a big deal, but
it really is. No, you're right.
And more especially common in the club than you would think.
I can't understand if you have all this money and you have this great life.
Go shopping.
Why in the world would you do drugs? Why would you do drugs? Why would you risk everything?
Well, because I think that even though you may have money and you may have, you know, the beautiful life, you're obviously not happy.
Then why aren't you happy? You've got it all. Why aren't you happy?
So if you're somebody that's addicted to cocaine, give us a call. And
we want to know why.
Susie wants to talk to
you. Know what? I mean, some people just like to party sometimes, and that's, you know.
But it's never enough. See, it never gets enough. Because out there is not enough. It's got to come from in here where you get the enough.
Yeah.
Well, it's clearly, I mean, it's an addiction issue, but obviously.
Yeah, but why ever do it in the first place?
I agree.
I think, and I think a lot of people that try drugs, they don't understand, like, the web that they're, you know, like, that they're going to get sucked in.
Yeah.
Because people don't, a lot of people don't, they're not like, oh, I'll have a line tonight, that sounds fun, and then never do it again. No, they do it.
What's a line?
A line is when...
No, I don't agree with that. I know people who've tried it and then...
This is appropriate.
And have done it once or twice or every once in a while and
then
are not
they snort
addicted.
the line of cocaine.
I think it depends, too, on what you see growing up. Because if your parents were doing it and it was commonplace in your household, then you're probably more likely to try it and think it's not.
Everyone around the table, let's do some coke.
And also, it's who you, at dinner time, say the prayer and then do a line with your family. It's ridiculous. But it depends on who you surround yourself with, too.
But if I mean, think about it. Yesterday, Val Kilmer, I mean, he even said, you know, my son's high, and what am I going to do? Like, he's probably high on pot. Like, I mean, some parents don't have a problem with it.
Interesting too, if it's legal, if it's legal in California, we talked about whether or not that would ever be legalized here, and I think it's an interesting issue because even if it were to be legalized here, federally, it's still illegal. So that doesn't mean that you have free reign. It means that the feds can always come in and have a different story about it.
I don't know. It's legalizing it to me just doesn't make a lot of sense because wherever it's going to be legalized, that's where everybody's going to flock to. In other words, they're going to go to the state where it's legal.
Right.
It's like where prostitution's legal in Vegas. That's why everyone goes to Vegas.
Boy, you have been around.
I know. I'm just getting warmed up 'cause I'm going to Miami this weekend, so I'm just, Just kidding.
You are. You're off to Miami
It's
tomorrow
that
morning.
man sock on top of your head.
I know. You put a sock on a girl's head and look what happens to her.